Welcome back to Life Begins at 50 on KDKA-TV. I'm your host, Carol Lee Espy, and today we're featuring 5 excellent tri-state businesses. Coming up, we've got Dr. Anthony DeCesaro from Whitehall Health Clinic and Laser Spa. He'll join us. We have Cookie Harris from New Image Hair Clinic. She's going to help you look years younger, and a makeover for your thinning hair. And Dr. Nathan Lockery from Aspen Dental will tell you all about the latest in dentistry. But right now, let's welcome Thomas W. Young from First Consultants. Welcome to Life Begins at 50, Tom.
Hi, Carol. How are you today?
I'm fine. This is one of those shows where I think, I wish they could hear what we're saying before we start, because we've had the most interesting conversation, because it's been about money and financial planning and the future, and everyone is curious about that. Tell us about what you do at First Consultants.
You know, at First Consultants, we're really about education. About 10 years ago, after I've been in my business 35 years, and about 10 years ago, I just made a decision that so many people really had no clue about how money works. You know, we're told every day by the financial world what to think about money, or this is the product or that product, but there really wasn't any education. And so I changed my approach and I started providing education to people. And really the format of what I do is education comes first. Then behind the education is developing strategies. It's your plan. Where do you want to go? What do you expect? And now we develop strategies to get you there. That determines what products are necessary. The financial industry is upside down. When you walk in, well, this is the new product of the day, this is what you ought to buy. And I don't believe that's correct. I believe people need to want to be educated, and I think people do today.
Well, it is a little scary right now. Things are, I mean, just watching Wall Street, things are up and down and up and down. It's been a roller coaster ride. And what do we think about it? And how does that meld with our future?
Well, the roller coaster ride, I believe today, is more controlled by the billionaires of the world. The stock market is just an auction barn. You know, the more buyers, the higher it goes. The less buyers, the lower it goes. And if somebody says something, they could cause the thing to panic and drop thousands of points, which is what we've seen happen, you know, two times in the last 10 years. So I just don't believe that's a place you put your money until you have maximum efficiency at everything else you do.
So every person that you talk to has a different need and a different way of how they save or what they do or what they spend their money on. And you are talking about finding ways to stop spending that, you know, penny wise, pound foolish. Is that where we are?
Yeah, but you know, people ask me if I'm out, and people say, well, what do you do? And I say, well, I have the greatest job in the world. I find money for people they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily, and I show them how to get it back.
And how do you do that?
Well, again, back to education. And then becomes strategies. I use a system called LEAP, L-E-A-P, Lifetime Economic Acceleration Process, and it provides a mathematical model. You know, if you don't have a model, and nobody does, then you're subject to rumor, opinion, and hearsay, the 3 greatest way of, you know, communication and education. But if I have a model, now I can put everybody's information on the model, and I can actually run a movie for you and say, here's where you are today, and here's what's going to happen based on what you're doing today. Then we can come back and say, well, what if everything was the best it could ever be, ideally, and create an ideal plan? Well, then that really becomes the goal. And then we go back and use the model, and we can actually start, well, what if we did this and what if we did that? And we can rerun the math, because everything is math. It is not opinionated, it is mathematical. And if I can prove something mathematically, oh, it's a pretty good deal.
1 plus 1 will always be 2, right?
Right, well, that's true. And there are some principles that come into play. One is saving an adequate amount of money, and I believe it starts at 15%. If you're over 100,000 a year, it's 20. Over 200,000 a year, it's 25. Okay. Second thing, you need 50% of your household income in cash, in a bank account. A good cash value life insurance policy where you can get at it without fees or penalties or government intervention. Okay. Beyond that, you have no consumer debt. So those 3 pieces, if you don't have those 3 pieces under control, you have no business in the stock market. If you're in the stock market, or you're in a 401k and you don't have that under control, you know, people today, we have automatic enrollment in 401k. If I show you mathematically, you're putting X number of dollars in your 401k, you're going to do it for 20, 30 years, the money you get back is going to be taxed at some future tax bracket that's going to be, Carol, higher or lower? What would you bet on if you were looking at the future?
It's going to be higher.
Okay, so you're going to pay more tax then than you do now. But nobody looks at inflation. You know, the historical average of the CPI index is 4.3% for the last 30 years. And if I apply inflation to the money you're going to get back, less the taxes, you won't even get back what you put in. Now, let's add on top of that lost opportunity cost. Because if you're putting all your savings into a 401k, well, I bet you have a car loan.
Yeah.
I bet you have a credit card balance. I bet you have a home equity loan. You know, the average household in America has $9,200 in credit card debt. Over a 40-year span of time, if you maintain that average, and a lot of people do, you've now lost, with interest on your money that you pay them, $778,000
that just
of
is
lost wealth.
That's heartbreaking.
And if you buy a car every 5 years from age 25 to age 70, finance it at the bank, $25,000 car, which is not an expensive car today, you're going to lose another $760,000 in interest to the bank and the lost opportunity cost. Remember, that's the interest that you lose on the dollar that you paid unnecessarily. And that interest compounds for the rest of your life.
So now you do this education, you come in and teach people. Do you have events that you
we have events all year long. That's why you want to get on our newsletter. If you call us or email us, then we'll put you on a newsletter list.
We have your website
to give you all the events. The biggest event we have coming right now is in October. We have an event with Dr. Robert Murphy, who is a commentator on Fox News. Can I say Fox News? and Carlos Lara, who is a corporate consultant to corporations up to 100 million in size. And these gentlemen have written a book recently, How Privatized Banking Works. See, and what I do is I show people how to develop their own banking system in their house. You know, it used to be the family farm. Now I call it the family money farm. And the more the family stays in control of the money, then it can become actually multi-generational. So in traditional financial planning,
it's getting harder to be multi-generational.
No, it really isn't.
It isn't?
You know, it sounds complex, but there are some very simple things. It's just the precepts are different. You make decisions today about your financial life based on the precepts that you have. True?
Sure.
Well, if you had different precepts, you'd probably make different decisions. And the different precepts got to be based on facts. They got to be based on mathematical proof. So there is a whole bunch of knowledge out there that has been hidden from people because of marketing and advertising. You know, some companies spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising. You know, it's known if you listen to a lie often enough, you start to believe it's true.
That's honest.
And the same thing happens with what people are told financially in what they do.
Now, of course, we have your website and a phone number that folks can go to. They can. Your website has a lot of information on it. And in particular, I was telling you earlier, I thought it was interesting. You had a whole behavioral consulting on there that really it hits to the core of how people perceive money in their lives.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I have a book. I'm an author of a book called Life Insurance: Will It Pay When I Die? And Dr. Robert Rome, which is my mentor in the human behavior world, has a section in the front of that book, and you can purchase that book through my office. And it really is a very basic instructional book about different kinds of life insurance. And at the end, there's a little bit about lost opportunity costs and how you can use money. You know, people have money sitting that they don't even know they have access to and can use, because nobody is sitting down and providing real education. And when people come in, they bring all of their stuff in, and the first thing we do is I ask the how, what, who, where, when, and why. We go through everything to make sure that take the errors out, the omissions, and make sure they really understand what it is. Is this really what you want? Is this what you thought it was? To make it go forward and do everything that we want it to do.
Well, it's a change in perception, and we can all use, because things change so rapidly around us that we seemingly have no control of. We might as well get our own perception changed and get some control ourselves.
If you're open to education, I mean, we offer a 1-hour complimentary get-together. People say, okay, well, what are you going to charge me after I get that? Well, I get paid in 2 ways. You know, after the education, we develop strategies, and then we determine what products may be necessary to fulfill the strategies. I would expect or hope people would purchase those products through me, because I'm going to assure that the products do what we expect them to do. Okay? So first way, I make fees, commissions, and bonuses. The second way that I get paid is more important than the first. If what I'm telling you today is true, you know, if you come in for a 1-hour complimentary invitation or a 1-hour interview, I'll prove you.
It's going to take you longer than an hour, I can tell you. It's so interesting.
I'll show you the proof. I'll show you the example, the model, and some examples. I will show you the proof.
Exactly.
If that is all true, then you're going to be excited, and I expect you to tell other people about me and refer other people to me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
You're quite welcome.
So interesting, and really when you see a different perspective on all that we've learned in our lives, to just change it around and take control. Such a wonderful idea.
There is always a different way to think about things, and people need to do that more.
Thank you so much, Tom.
You're quite welcome.
And if you'd like to know more about First Consultants, you can give Tom a call at 724-728-6820, or you can log on to firstconsultantsinc.com. Now, if you'd like to advertise your products or services on Life Begins at 50, you can give us a call at 412-575-2400, or email us at showcase@kdka.com. Up next, we'll talk to Dr. Tony DeCesaro from Whitehall Health Center and Laser Spa. That is next when Life Begins at 50 continues.